Hello everyone. Today our session is basically related to question solving session, which we will be doing through a PPT session. Now in today's class what we will do, actually we will cover up all the 5 chapters that we had learned so far, and we will discuss it in the form of some questions, plus you will see a variety of objective questions, whereas you will also see a variety of subjective questions which can be possibly asked related to the chapters. Now we will begin with the sequence that we had followed earlier in the chapters, like we started with first India size and location, then we will move on to the French Revolution, story of village Palampur, the fourth physical features of India, and the last chapter that we had learned, socialism. Alright, so we will start with the very first chapter that we had learned. The first question deals with that Tropic of Cancer does not pass through. You will be given here 4 options. According to the options given, we already know that it passes from Rajasthan, it passes from Chhattisgarh, it passes from Tripura. The only odd one out state left out here is Odisha. So the correct answer shall be Odisha. Moving on to the next question. This is a union territory. We will have to locate the capital. We will know about the capital of Andaman and Nicobar Islands. It is a simple question based on logic. The correct answer is Port Blair. The next question, the western coastal strip south of Goa is referred to as. Now we had already learnt about the coastal plains. Towards the side Goa lies, we have Konkan, Kannada and Malabar. So Kannada plain is the plain where Goa lies, south of it will be Malabar. So the correct answer is Malabar. The next question deals with the country which shares international border with India is. The only country that is sharing amongst these the international borders is Bhutan. The next question we deal with that Uttaranchal, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal and Sikkim have common frontiers with. Now amongst the 4 options which are given over here, what you have to identify is that amongst these which country is commonly sharing borders with all of these states. So if we look at the map, we will get to know that the correct answer is Nepal, which shares its international borders with all of these states commonly. Moving on to the next question, very simple question. We had already learned about the longitudinal extent. Now here you have to use that concept here, like we lie in 68 degrees 7 minutes east to 97 degrees 25 minutes east. We had already learned the concept that approximately we are at difference of 30 longitudes. So when we say 30 longitudes, that means we are supposed to multiply this by 4 minutes, which will come out to be the resultant 120 minutes. The time lag will be of 2 hours. So our correct answer shall be 2 hours. Moving on to the next question. We are supposed to answer here that India is sharing the longest international boundary with which of these countries. So according to the data that we have, Bangladesh is the only country amongst which India shares its longest international boundaries. Now till here what we had learned about 7 objective questions. From this question onwards, we will have a variety of subjective questions, of which I will be telling you the answers. We will first start with the simple question given is, you have to tell what is the east to west and north to south extent of India. The east to west extent of India is 2933 kilometers, and the north to south extent of India is 3214 kilometers. Okay. Moving on to the next question, you have to write about the impact of longitudinal extent in India. इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर आप प्रीवियसली आंसर्ड ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चन से भी डायरेक्टली उठा सकते हैं. द रीजन यू हैव टू गिव द सेम आंसर ओवर हियर दैट वी लाई at a longitudinal distance of approximately 30 longitudes. The sun rays takes a time period of 4 minutes to shift from one degree to another. So, this will create a difference of time lag of 2 hours when we are comparing both the longitudes, the eastern side and the western side. Moving on to the next question. The 10th question deals with, you have to tell the state which is having common frontiers or common sharing of boundaries with Bangladesh, Nepal and Bhutan. The correct answer of this question shall be West Bengal. West Bengal is that state which have common frontiers with both the countries Bangladesh, Nepal and Bhutan. The next question is, you have to write about the strategic location of, you have to write the significance of India's location in Asia. This is a very important theoretical question which is asked over here, that you have to tell about the importance of location. You can write multiple points in this question. You can write first of all about the coastline of India, because of which trading became possible. You can also at the same time write that we lie half in torrid zone and half in temperate zone. So, it creates a variety of temperature. जब आपके पास टेम्परेचर में वेरिएशंस आएगा, क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशन में चेंजेस आएंगे, इस चेंज की वजह से इट कैन इम्पैक्ट द वेजिटेशन ऑफ दैट प्लेस एंड एट द सेम टाइम द वाइल्ड लाइफ इज ऑल्सो रिलेटेड टू दिस फैक्टर ओनली. आप इसके बारे में ये भी लिख सकते हैं कि हमारी जो लोकेशन है, हमारी लोकेशन प्राइम इम्पॉर्टेंस की लोकेशन है बिकॉज ऑफ द कनेक्टिविटी वी हैव विद रिस्पेक्ट टू लैंड, एयर एंड वाटर. So, you can write here 3 points, 4 points, 5 points. There is no limit for writing about the strategic significance of India's location. The next question is, write about the impact of latitudinal extent of India. We already know that the latitudinal extent of India is 8 degrees 4 minutes north to 37 degrees 6 minutes north. Now, what does this creates a difference? ये डिफरेंस आपको कहाँ देखने को मिलेगा? This difference is seen in the form of that first our location, our heat zone location, the part of India which lies in temperate zone and the part of India which lies in torrid zone. The first reason is this, because of the latitudinal extent. Plus, you cannot here say, जब हम latitudinal difference की बात करते हैं तो हमारा southern most latitude touches कन्याकुमारी and the northern most latitude touches Indira Col. So, the difference that it will create is that there is a time difference of 45 minutes, the diurnal time difference is of 45 minutes and the duration of day and night is hardly felt at Kanyakumari, which is maximum felt at the northernmost tip of India. Next question, you have to tell that why is India called a subcontinent? We have already discussed it earlier while reading the chapter. इंडिया को सब कॉन्टिनेंट 6 फिजिकल फीचर्स प्रेजेंट होने की वजह से बोला जाता है. वी हैव ऑल द 6 फिजिकल फीचर्स प्रेजेंट इन आवर कंट्री. जो इंडिया के साथ सब कॉन्टिनेंट फॉर्म करती हैं कंट्रीज, दोज कंट्रीज आर नेपाल, भूटान, श्रीलंका, मालदीव्स and Pakistan. Moving on to the next question, 14th. You have to tell why this has been chosen as the standard meridian of India. There are 2 reasons. First is that it passes almost through the center of the country, and the second reason is that this meridian is actually divisible by 7 degrees 30 minutes. So, whichsoever meridian is completely divisible, that is chosen as the standard meridian of the country. Moving on to the next question, 15th. How have the ancient and much older land routes contributed to the exchange of ideas and goods? Here you can mention about the ideas of Upanishads, our epics, Ramayans, the great contribution that Indians have made in the field of mathematics, in the field of science, you can write about that. Plus the trading companies which had existed here as a part of Indian subcontinent. This completes our first chapter discussion. We will now move on to the next slide to look at chapter number 2. Now we move on to chapter number 2, that is story of village Palimpur. This was the first chapter that we had read in economics. We will here relate to all the factors of production that we had done, the concepts. The first question will deal with raw material and money in hand are called as. This is a very obvious question. The answer of this question amongst the given is working capital. The next question deals with borrowing of money. Small farmers borrow money for cultivation from whom? Traders, no. Family members, no. Banks, no. The correct answer is money lenders, village money lenders. The reference of this is given in our books. Green revolution encouraged what? It encouraged plantation of more trees, of course not. Organic farming, definitely not. Use of HYV seeds, hybrid variety, high yield variety seeds, yes, definitely a good option. And more use of machinery, yes, this was used, but the primary aim was to increase cultivation. So we will stick with this answer. The next question deal with land, labor, capital, raw material together are called as factors of production, or the option if it is given organization of production is also correct. The season which is similar to Rabi season, this season is known as winter season. The reason is because the seeds are sown during the months of winter. So we relate this season to winter season. The next question, fixed capital required to set up a jaggery manufacturing unit is. Sugarcane is definitely a working capital. Raw material is a working capital. Crushing machine is definitely a fixed capital and power is required. So crushing machine is the suitable answer, option B. Seventh question, India's agricultural production in the era of green revolution was increased by production of what it emphasized more on? It emphasized on the production of wheat and rice. We do not have any other option matching over here. So the correct answer shall be wheat and rice. Our option D is correct. Moving on to subjective answers. You have to here state of importance of growing more than one crop on a piece of land. This question relates to the pattern of multiple cropping that we had studied. You have to here look at the pattern of multiple cropping which is followed. We had already learned to increase productivity from the same piece of land in a given year can have various methods, but the natural way through which it can increase is through the pattern of multiple cropping, wherein in one single season you try to grow more than one variety of crops to maintain the fertility. The next question is important to develop irrigation facilities, explain. When it comes to developing irrigation facilities, yes, you require them most because availability of water is scarce, is less, plus what you require is that through better irrigation water can be conserved. So this is an important point through which irrigation holds an important place, and the techniques which are to be used in the irrigation methods are to be improved. You have to distinguish between Kharif season and Rabi seasons. You can here write that Kharif season is that season wherein the seeds are grown in the summer months, and here the seeds are sown in the winter months. This is known as the summer season, this is known as the winter season, and you can give examples. You have to now give 3 negative effects of green revolution. The first negative impact is that it left soil unfertile. The second negative impact is that due to overusing of the fertilizers every time, the soil became too immune to those fertilizers. And the third is that it kills microorganisms which are present in the soil, which are naturally a good indicator for the process of leaching. Next question, you have to state any 5 reasons to show that Palampur has a well developed image. इसको आपको आपके चैप्टर के इंट्रोडक्शन से रिलेट करना पड़ेगा. The first reason because of which it has been shown is because of the connection of electricity. The second reason is transportation. The third reason is that it has better irrigation facilities. The fourth reason is that here you have all the 3 sectors which are present, and the fifth answer, the fifth point that you will relate with Palampur has related to importance of green revolution. So, we have 5 points through which we can say that Palampur has a fairly well developed image. Moving on to the next question. The next question deals with why did farmers adopt modern farming methods? The farmers here adopted modern farming methods because they wanted to increase the production. Multiple cropping is a good method, but you still require labor at every point when you are doing multiple cropping. So, first, to reduce the dependency on labor, to increase the production, the farmers adopted modern farming methods through machinery and use of hybrid variety seeds. The 14th question is, you have to state aim of production. The aim of production is definitely going to be that you want to cultivate more. You have to state 4 requirements in which you will state land, labor, capital and enterprise. The last question of this chapter, you have to tell any 4 non-farming production activities which are practiced in Palampur, and you have to give description of any 3. Now, when you come to non-farming production, you can give example of sugarcane crushing, you can also give example of transportation, you can also here give examples of dairy farming. So, these are the 3 options or the 3 descriptions of which you can describe that this is secondary, these both are tertiary sectors. Now, the third chapter deals with the French Revolution. The first question says professions of the people of third estate were. Now, these 3 might be the profession, might be. What do we have relatively direct relativity with the question? That the first option, lawyers and administrative officers, is directly given in the book. So, option A is the correct answer. Second question deals with that population of France rose from 23 million to 28 million. We are here referring to subsistence crisis. The year in which it started rising was 1715, but the end period was till 1789. So, the correct answer is A. Third question, the tax which was directly paid to the state by the third state members was, tithe was paid to the church, the second tail was paid to the state. So, the correct answer shall be C. The next question, you have to tell author of the book. 2 treaties of the government was definitely written by John Locke. So, the correct answer is C. The national colors France flag has, you have to name the sequence of the national colors correctly. The sequence correctly is blue, white, red. Option A is the correct answer. The book Spirit of Laws, you have to again tell the author. The options according to which are given over here, the correct answer is Montesquieu, who was the author of Spirit of Laws. Moving on to the next question, you have to again tell the author of the book Declaration of the Rights of Women and Citizen. This was written by a woman revolutionary. So, the correct answer is Olympe de Gouges. Moving on to the subjective question, you are supposed to tell here the classes of French society during the 18th century. आपको यहाँ पर old regime के बारे में बताना है, in which you will have to describe first estate, the second estate and the third estate. You have to write a short note on Napoleon Bonaparte. नेपोलियन बोनापार्ट का रोल हम ऑल दो चैप्टर के एंड में विजुलाइज करते हैं. नेपोलियन बोनापार्ट के बारे में आप लिख सकते हैं दैट ही वाज अ मिलिट्री डिक्टेटर who came after the collapse of directory. नेपोलियन बोनापार्ट के बारे में आप ये भी लिख सकते हैं दैट ही इंट्रोड्यूस्ड सिविल कोड ऑफ 1804 over here in France, which meant that weights and system measures were unified, currencies were reunited and confederations were came to a very smaller unit. All these are the points that you can write about Napoleon Bonaparte. You have to write here the circumstances leading to the outbreak of revolutionary protest in France. आपको यहाँ पर mention करना पड़ेगा the incident of the meeting of Estates General which was conducted. और इस मीटिंग में थर्ड एस्टेट के मेंबर्स को पार्टिसिपेट करने का मौका नहीं दिया गया था. दे लेफ्ट आउट दैट प्लेस, फॉर्म्ड नेशनल असेंबली एंड स्टार्टेड ड्राफ्टिंग द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ फ्रांस. यू कैन हियर आल्सो राइट अबाउट द टेनिस कोर्ट ओथ. द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, who were the main intellects whose ideas and writings became the cause of French Revolution? You have to write about three authors here, John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and the third one is Montesquieu. The books we had already covered in the objective part. You have to write about two treatises of government, social contract and spirit of laws. Yes, contribution of Mirabeau and Agassiz in the formation of National Assembly. We had already learned that Mirabeau and Agassiz, both of them belonged to the first and second estate, but still were helping the people. So, they have an important contribution in the drafting of Constitution of France. So, despite being the members of upper class, they participated in this movement. We are supposed to write in the 13th question about the importance of tennis court oath. Very important. Here in this oath, they had taken a pledge that we won't disperse from here until we had drafted a constitution for the whole of France. So, this is an importance of tennis court oath, and from this point onwards, they started making constitution for France. You have to describe the legacy of French Revolution for the world. You can relate this question to the last part of the chapter where the description of Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Tipu Sultan has been given, that even those thinkers who were of the Indian origin started thinking about the ongoing French Revolution, which changed the landscape of the world with context to overthrowing of monarchy and bringing up of democracy. The 15th question is, in which manner did the insurrection by Parisians revolutionize France? This question deals with the concept when the king and his wife and all the members belonging to nobility were kept as hostage, and after being kept as hostage, they were not allowed actually to move out of that place, and the king's guards were murdered in the palace of Tuileries, and later on the person, the king and his wife met with the same fate, that they died during the same process through guillotine. So, now we will move on to the fourth chapter. The fourth chapter deals with physical features of India. You have to tell the range, mountain range which is lying to the south of Greater Himalayas is known as, the correct answer shall be Shivaliks. Himachal are known as Middle Himalayas. The northern plains spread over an area of, we had already discussed, this is a fact related question, the answer is 7 lakh square kilometers. Doab means a land between definitely two water bodies, as we had given the example of Punjab. Next question, a triangular landmass that lies to the south of river Narmada is, south of river Narmada, the plateau region which will lie is Deccan Plateau. Obviously, Malwa Plateau lies in the northern part. The plain that extends between Ghagar and Teesta river is known as definitely Ganga plain, as both of these are tributaries of river Ganga. Chota Nagpur plateau is drained by the river. You have to name the river. So, amongst the given option, Damodar is the correct answer. You have to tell length of the northern plain. This is also a fact related question. The answer is A, 2400 kilometers is the correct answer. Now you have to give differences between western coastal plains and eastern coastal plains. We had already although discussed that during the lectures, that what are the differences. You can write about the narrowness of the plains. You can also here write about the place from where they start, Konkan, Kannada, Malabar, and towards the eastern side you can write about Sundarban Delta, Northern Sarkar, and lastly the Coromandel coast. You can here write that these plains, why they are wider and why they are shorter. So, eastern coastal plains are much wider with respect to the western coastal plains. You have to give 3 features of the Himalayan mountain system. Himalayan mountain system के 3 features हैं, source of rivers due to presence of glaciers. Second is that the Himalayan mountain system is divided into 3 parts, Himadri, Himachal and Shivaliks, and you can also here write about that Himalayas act as a major source of alluvial soil for the country. You can use this reference in another question which is asked over here. You have to describe 3 types of plate movements or boundaries. Here you will describe convergent, divergent and transform plate movements. You can here write with examples that convergent movement led to formation of Himalayas, divergent movement led to formation of the plateau region and the block mountain region, and the transform movement leads to tremors and earthquake. Next question, 11th question, you have to tell on the basis of relief features, they are divided into 4 parts. First is Bhabar, second is Tarai, the third one is Khadar and the fourth one is Bhangar. State any 3 differences between Himadri and Shivaliks range. First difference is you can mention about their height. इनकी एवरेज हाइट 6000 मीटर्स है, जबकि इनकी एवरेज हाइट 900 to 1100 मीटर्स है. यहाँ पर रॉक्स का फॉर्मेशन जो है वो रॉक्स का फॉर्मेशन इसकी कोर ग्रेनाइट से मिलकर बन रही है और शिवालिक रेंज में आपको कंसोलिडेटेड रॉक्स मिलेंगे, ऑल्टर्ड रॉक्स मिलते हैं. ये हिमाद्री रेंज हाईएस्ट रेंज है, unaccessible to common people, and this range is lying on the foothills of the Himalayas. Moving on to the next question, 13th. You have to give an account of the 4 division of Himalayas from west to east along with Purvanchal. The division is Himadri, Himachal, Shivaliks, and when you move this division to the east to the Purvanchal, you will have Patkai, Nagamani and Mizo hills. This question I was telling that you can use this reference in the question, why Himalayas, how you have to explain that Himalayas act as a boon, boon ka matlab blessing, for India in 4 different ways. 3 ways we had written. 4th way that you can use here is that it also acts as a source of security. Why security? People cannot easily cross through these mountain ranges, plus what happens is since these are very high ranges, it also at the same time prevents the cold winds which are coming from upper parts of India. Otherwise, India would have completely turned into a cold desert if those cold winds would have entered the Indian territories. You have to differentiate between the 2 island groups of India. Here you are going to differentiate between Andaman Nicobar and the Lakshadweep islands, and the differences we had already mentioned. The next last chapter that we had studied in the previous last class is related to socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution. The first question deals with Stalin's collectivization program, that which class faced brutal repression of Stalinism during the collectivization. Obviously the class was of kulaks, we had already read. These people, the groups nationalists, radicals and liberals in Europe, wanted to overthrow the existing government. You have to simply tell the year in which they were overthrown. They were problematic after the establishment of the year 1830. After that all these governments were problematic. The next question will deal with The second international was formed with a view to promote, definitely people were not of the view conservative, nationalist, no, liberal ideas, definitely no. The correct answer is socialist ideas. Moving on to the next question. The socialists of Europe who sought to establish a cooperative society community based in USA but wanted to establish in Russia was started by Robert Owen, and he formed the society New Harmony, and based on that he wanted to establish the same in Russia. The Bolsheviks made peace treaty with Germany at Brest-Litovsk in the year 1917 में तो हमको पता ही है कि वॉर चल ही रही थी, उसी टाइम पर रेवोल्यूशन हुई अक्टूबर में. सो नेक्स्ट सब्सिक्वेंट ईयर मार्च 1918 was the time when they made a peace treaty with Germany. The sixth question is, the political right to govern people themselves is known as, definitely, autonomy. Individualism is not a political right, communism is not a political right, liberalism is also not a political right. The seventh question, revolution that opened up the possibility of changing the social structure was obviously French Revolution. हम लोगों ने इसका description world की history में भी अपन discuss कर चुके हैं कि definitely it has a very important place. So none of the other option matches our correct answer. French Revolution will be the correct answer. Now you are supposed to here in the 8th question differentiate between Bolsheviks and Mensheviks. Bolsheviks party was led by Lenin, Mensheviks party was led by George Plekhanov. Bolsheviks believed in quality of members while Mensheviks believed in quantity of members. They here insisted on which focused on people's basically rights while we are considering minority, and here this considers majority. आपको कार्ल मार्क्स का कॉन्सेप्ट एक्सप्लेन करना है सोशलिस्ट सोसाइटी के बारे में. यू आर हियर सपोज टू यूज द कॉन्सेप्ट दैट स्टेटिंग अ लाइन दैट अ कम्युनिस्ट सोसाइटी इज द फ्यूचर ऑफ ऑल द सोसाइटीज. कार्ल मार्क्स की कॉन्सेप्ट के बारे में आपको ये बताना है कि दैट ही वाज अगेंस्ट कैपिटलिज्म. जब वो कैपिटलिज्म के अगेंस्ट था तो डेफिनेटली उसका आइडिया क्या था, ही बिलीव दैट इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट आर मोस्टली एक्सप्लॉयटेटिव इन नेचर. So you have to here explain the idea of structure of society. Next question, Duma. Duma के बारे में आपको ये बताना है कि ये एक elected representative body थी जो जार ने बनाई थी after the incident of Bloody Sunday. How far it was successful? You have to state 3 Dumas. First dissolved within 75 days, second dissolved within 3 months, and the third Duma was a successful Duma due to the formation of because of it had conservative members. The 11th question, economic condition of Russia before 1905. Here you are supposed to mention about 2 industrial towns. That is, before that economy was mostly agriculturalist, 80% agriculture, 20% industrial. St. Petersburg and Moscow were the 2 towns which were developing. Iron and steel production was doubling up, and some of the sectors had 4 times production. The condition of workers was very exploitative in nature. Why did the Tsarist autocracy collapse in 1917? Definitely due to the events related to February Revolution. You have to state that February 22, 23, 25, 26, 27, and the collapse of monarchy on 2nd of March 1917, and that is why it collapsed. Next question. Which incident is known as Bloody Sunday? The incident of 1905 is known as Bloody Sunday, when Father Gapon was leading a group of members to the Winter Palace to demand 3 rights or 3 demands. First one was working conditions to be improved, better wages, and lessen numbers of working hours. This incident, when the Tsar started attacking the people, unarmed people, and murdered 100 people and 300 were wounded, this incident is known as Bloody Sunday. You have to discuss the main events of October Revolution in Russia. Here you are just supposed to simply mention that a military revolutionary committee was founded by Leon Trotsky. The Prime Minister Kerensky feared the formation of this committee and fled the country. After its fleeing, the shelling was started through ship Aurora, and after the shelling, we see the downfall of the provincial government and the rising up of Bolshevik leader Vladimir Lenin. The last question that we are going to here discuss is, what were the main changes brought about by Bolsheviks immediately after the October Revolution? The first change that he introduced was implemented April thesis. The second change was that the banking system was nationalized. The third change was that they made a peace treaty with Germany at Brest-Litovsk. The fourth change that we notice is that he changed the party's name to Communist Party. The fifth change that we have is that there was a complete reversal and secret police forces were hired to keep a check on the people. So, these are the questions that we had discussed about all the chapters that we had learned so far. Thank you so much.